Jasmine Davis walks through the heavy wooden doors of Courtroom 302, her navy blazer pressed perfectly against her slender frame. At 35, she's built a reputation as the financial controller of Morgan & Stanley Investments, known for her precision with numbers and unwavering integrity. Today is different. Her usual confident stride is replaced by measured steps as she approaches the defendant's table. Judge William Bennett, a 60-year-old veteran of the bench with salt and pepper hair and piercing blue eyes, studies her from above his wire-rimmed glasses. The courtroom buzzes with whispers. Local reporters grip their notepads, eager to document how a respected professional landed on the wrong side of the law. In the gallery, dozens of parents and children from the youth center sit quietly, their presence a silent testimony to Jasmine's character. All rise for the Honorable Judge William Bennett. The bailiff's voice echoes. The shuffle of feet fills the room as everyone stands. Judge Bennett nods, and they take their seats. The morning light streams through tall windows, casting long shadows across the polished floor. District Attorney Sarah Martinez rises, her red suit a stark contrast to the wooden panels behind her. Your Honor, we're here today regarding case number 2024 CR 789, the state versus Jasmine Davis. Her voice is clear, professional, carrying no hint of the friendship she and Jasmine once shared during their college years. Jasmine's attorney, James Richardson, places a gentle hand on her shoulder. A seasoned public defender, he's seen countless cases, but something about this one touches him differently. The manila folder before him contains hundreds of testimonials from families whose lives changed because of Jasmine's work. Ms. Davis, Judge Bennett's voice fills the room. You're charged with misappropriation of corporate funds, totaling $75,000. How do you plead? Jasmine stands, her hands steady despite her racing heart. The pearl necklace her grandmother gave her catches the light, a reminder of the values she was raised with: honesty, service, and doing what's right, even when it's hard. Guilty, Your Honor, she responds, her voice clear and unwavering. A collective gasp ripples through the courtroom, followed by complete silence. Judge Bennett leans forward slightly, intrigued by her directness. However, Jasmine continues, meeting the judge's gaze. I request permission to explain the circumstances. Her words hang in the air, heavy with the weight of stories untold. Behind her, Marcus Thompson, a 12-year-old boy from the center, clutches his mother's hand. 6 months ago, he was failing math. Today, he's at the top of his class, thanks to the center's tutoring program Jasmine fought to maintain. Judge Bennett removes his glasses, cleaning them thoughtfully with his handkerchief. In his 30 years on the bench, he's developed an instinct for character. Something about Jasmine Davis's demeanor tells him this case isn't what it appears on paper. Proceed, Ms. Davis, he says, replacing his glasses. The court would very much like to hear your story. The morning sun climbs higher, casting a warm glow across the courtroom as Jasmine prepares to share the events that led to this moment. A tale of difficult choices, community needs, and the thin line between right and wrong. The small youth center sits in the heart of Oakwood District, a neighborhood where dreams often struggle against harsh realities. Jasmine's voice remains steady as she describes the building that became a second home to hundreds of children over the past decade. Your Honor, she continues, the Oakwood Youth Center served 200 children daily. These weren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. They were young minds seeking knowledge, hungry bellies needing meals, and futures yearning for guidance. Judge Bennett glances at the financial records before him. The center's funding had been slashed by 60% in the previous year. Government grants dried up, private donations dwindled, and corporate sponsorships shifted to more prominent charities. Mrs. Chen, a single mother of 3, dabs her eyes with a tissue as Jasmine describes the evening she found the center's foreclosure notice. Her youngest son, Kevin, had improved from a D to a B+ in reading thanks to the after-school program. We tried everything legitimate first, Jasmine explains, her hands clasped tightly. Grant applications, fundraising events, reaching out to local businesses. But time was running out, and winter was approaching, our busiest season when children need warm meals and safe spaces most. The prosecution shuffles papers, preparing their arguments about corporate responsibility and fiduciary duty. But even DA Martinez's expression softens as security footage plays on the courtroom screen, showing children receiving hot meals, participating in science experiments, and celebrating academic achievements. The $75,000 wasn't taken in one lump sum, Jasmine continues. Each transfer was carefully calculated to cover essential services. $15,000 for the heating system repair, $20,000 for 6 months of meal programs, $25,000 for educational supplies and instructor salaries, and $15,000 for building maintenance and security upgrades. Judge Bennett studies the meticulous spreadsheets Jasmine maintained. Every dollar is accounted for, every expense documented with receipts. No personal gain, no hidden accounts, just the desperate actions of someone trying to keep hope alive in a struggling community. The afternoon sun casts long shadows as Jasmine describes the day she started the transfers. I knew the consequences, Your Honor, but watching a child's eyes light up when they finally understand a math problem, or seeing a teenager choose books over trouble, those moments showed me that some risks are worth taking. In the gallery, Michael Foster, now a freshman on a full scholarship to State University, sits straight-backed in his pressed shirt. 2 years ago, he was considering dropping out of high school. The center's mentoring program helped him discover his passion for engineering. As part 2 of her testimony concludes, Jasmine places a thick binder on the evidence table, containing hundreds of success stories, improved grade reports, and letters from parents whose lives changed because one person refused to let their community center die. Judge Bennett removes his glasses again, his expression thoughtful. The case before him has evolved from a simple financial crime into something far more complex, a story about community, necessity, and the true meaning of justice. Security cameras throughout Morgan and Stanley's office capture Jasmine's late-night dedication. The footage shows her at her desk well past midnight, meticulously documenting every transaction. Her computer screen reflects spreadsheets and banking portals as she transfers funds with surgical precision. A senior security guard, Robert Wilson, testifies about those nights. Ms. Davis would nod hello, then work until dawn. Sometimes I'd bring her coffee, watching her triple-check numbers and file detailed reports. Never seen someone so careful about keeping records of something that wasn't exactly. Well, you know. The evidence reveals a pattern. Each transfer coincided with a critical need at the center. When the heating system failed in December, Jasmine processed the repair payment within hours. When food supplies ran low in February, she ensured the delivery trucks arrived fully stocked the next morning. DA Martinez presents bank statements showing Jasmine's personal account during this period. Her salary remained untouched, her lifestyle modest. A small apartment, a used car, and regular donations to the center from her own pocket paint a picture of someone living below her means to serve others. The surveillance videos show Ms. Davis making copies of every transaction. Detective Sarah Thompson testifies. She kept records in triplicate, one for the center's books, one in her personal files, and one sealed envelope in her desk drawer, as if she knew this day would come. The courtroom watches footage of Jasmine leading weekend tutoring sessions at the center. Professional colleagues from the financial sector volunteer their time, teaching children about budgeting, savings, and investment basics. The program has already produced 3 young entrepreneurs who started successful small businesses. Judge Bennett pays particular attention to the timestamps on the security footage. Jasmine's corporate work never suffered. She arrived early, completed her regular duties with excellence, then stayed late to manage the center's needs. Her performance reviews during this period remained exemplary. An audit trail shows Jasmine had already begun repaying the funds, setting aside 70% of her salary each month. Without prompting, she established a repayment schedule that would have returned every dollar within 5 years, including calculated interest. The final piece of evidence comes from an unexpected source. The corporate security system recorded a conversation between Jasmine and her supervisor 3 weeks before the discovery. She had begun to explain her actions, prepared to face consequences. The investigation interrupted this voluntary confession. As the evidence presentation concludes, Even the prosecution seems moved by the methodical care with which Jasmine handled the diverted funds. Every dollar served its intended purpose, not personal gain, but community survival. Your Honor, Jasmine addresses the court one final time. I kept detailed records because I believe in accountability. These files aren't just evidence of wrongdoing. They're proof that desperate times don't have to mean careless actions. The afternoon light catches the determination in her eyes as she concludes, I stand ready to face the consequences, but I also stand by every child whose life changed because these funds reached them in time. Letters from parents begin pouring into Judge Bennett's chambers, each telling a story of transformation. He reads them during the court recess, his reading glasses perched on the edge of his nose. Maria Rodriguez writes about her son Diego, who raised his reading level by 3 grades. The center didn't just teach him to read, they taught him to love learning. Ms. Davis sat with him herself, using her lunch breaks to help him sound out words. Another letter comes from James Parker, a local business owner. When teenagers started vandalizing stores in the area, Jasmine launched a youth entrepreneurship program. Those same kids now run successful weekend market stalls. She turned potential offenders into young business leaders. The judge studies photos attached to the letters. Children in science fairs proudly displaying projects. Teenagers receiving academic awards. A Christmas celebration where every child got a warm coat and a hot meal. Each image tells a story of impact beyond mere numbers. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the local elementary school principal, provides testing data. Students attending the center show a 40% improvement in math scores and a 35% increase in reading comprehension. Behavioral incidents dropped by 60% since the center extended its hours. Your Honor, a letter from Officer Tom Bradley reads, I've patrolled this neighborhood for 20 years. Since Ms. Davis expanded the center's programs, juvenile arrests have decreased by 70%. She's doing more for public safety than a dozen extra patrol cars. The evidence includes achievement certificates, college acceptance letters, and scholarship awards. A wall of success in the center displays these proudly tangible proof of dreams taking flight. Former gang member turned college student Marcus Lee writes about the night Jasmine kept the center open during a violent storm. She created a safe haven when we needed it most. That night, she didn't just save lives, she changed them. Judge Bennett removes his glasses, rubbing his temples thoughtfully. In 30 years on the bench, few cases have presented such a clear contrast between the letter of the law and its spirit. The final letter in his stack comes from a colleague, another judge whose grandson found purpose at the center. As the afternoon session approaches, he studies Jasmine's file again. Her actions violated corporate policy, yet every diverted dollar served its intended purpose, investing in human potential. The question before him transcends simple legality. It challenges the very nature of justice. The bailiff announces the court's return to session. Judge Bennett gathers the letters, each one weighing on his conscience as he prepares to balance justice with mercy, law with humanity, punishment with purpose. District Attorney Sarah Martinez stands, her posture confident but her expression conflicted. The state recognizes Ms. Davis's contributions to the community, she begins. However, corporate theft, regardless of intention, demands consequences. The prosecution presents Jasmine's employment contract, highlighting sections about financial responsibility. Bank records flash across screens, showing each transfer. Yet something unusual happens. Martinez begins highlighting Jasmine's immediate efforts to repay the funds. Before discovery, Ms. Davis had already returned $12,500 through anonymous deposits, Martinez admits. Her repayment schedule, created voluntarily, shows commitment to making amends. The corporate representative, Michael Sterling, shifts uncomfortably in his seat. The evidence reveals the company's recent $2 million tax break, earned partly through community service claims about supporting local youth programs they'd actually stopped funding months before. Jasmine's performance reviews paint a portrait of excellence. 15 years without a single disciplinary action, promotions earned through merit, team leadership awards, customer satisfaction ratings consistently above 95%. The defendant's actions, while illegal, demonstrate remarkable transparency. Martinez continues. Each transaction was logged, documented, and earmarked for specific community needs. No personal gain, no attempted concealment. Financial experts testify about Jasmine's living expenses, her modest one-bedroom apartment, the 10-year-old car she keeps perfectly maintained, lunch breaks spent tutoring instead of dining out, a lifestyle structured around service rather than luxury. The prosecution's final witness, surprisingly, helps Jasmine's case. Dr. Emily Chen, economic impact specialist, calculates the center's influence, reduced crime rates saving the city $300,000 annually, improved academic performance reducing remedial education costs by $150,000, and increased youth employment generating $200,000 in local economic activity. Martinez concludes her presentation with an unusual recommendation. While the state cannot ignore the law, we acknowledge these unique circumstances. Ms. Davis's actions, though technically criminal, produced demonstrable social benefit exceeding the financial impact of her actions. Judge Bennett notices something remarkable. The prosecution's typical zeal for punishment seems tempered by understanding. Even the corporate representatives appear moved by the evidence of lives transformed through Jasmine's choices. Judge Bennett studies the comprehensive spreadsheets Jasmine maintained, detailing every transaction. His eyes scan meticulously through each line item. $2,500 for new computers, $1,800 for educational software, $3,200 for the tutoring program expansion. Ms. Davis, he calls, peering over his glasses, your tracking methods are remarkably thorough. Walk me through your documentation process. Jasmine rises, approaching the evidence table with quiet confidence. She presents 3 ring binders filled with purchase orders, receipts, and impact reports. Each expenditure links to specific program outcomes: improved test scores, reduced dropout rates, successful college applications. Your Honor, I treated these funds with the same diligence required in my corporate role, she explains. Each dollar had a designated purpose and measurable outcome. The judge examines photographs of the center's computer lab, where teenagers learn coding. A receipt shows Jasmine negotiated a 40% discount on equipment. Another document reveals her successful grant application that secured matching funds for the STEM program. The prosecution mentioned unauthorized transfers. Judge Bennett notes, yet I see here you implemented dual verification protocols. Explain this system. Jasmine describes her accountability measures: 2 senior volunteers independently reviewing expenses, monthly reconciliation reports, and transparent posting of all financial records at monthly parent meetings. The courtroom watches as she demonstrates her tracking software, a modified version of professional accounting tools, simplified for community center use. Local business leaders in the gallery nod approvingly at her fiscal management approach. Even while operating outside corporate policy, she concludes, I maintained professional standards. Every decision focused on maximizing impact while minimizing financial burden. Judge Bennett makes careful notes, particularly interested in her systematic approach to repayment planning. The afternoon sun casts long shadows across his desk as he reviews the final pieces of evidence, a detailed sustainability plan Jasmine developed for the center's future funding. Judge Bennett rises from his chair, his decision crystallizing after hours of testimony. The courtroom falls silent, anticipating his next words. Instead of immediately announcing judgment, he gestures to several distinguished figures entering the courtroom. Ms. Davis, he begins, your dedication to proper documentation has revealed an opportunity. I've spent the recess speaking with community leaders. He nods to the newcomers, CEOs from local corporations, foundation directors, and city officials. Sarah Chen, CEO of Pacific Innovation Fund, steps forward. We're establishing a $2 million grant for the center's expansion. Ms. Davis's financial models impressed our board. We want to implement her programs across 5 additional locations. Marcus Thompson, representing the City Council, announces their decision to designate the center as an official community development hub, unlocking annual funding streams. Ms. Davis's methods created a blueprint for effective youth program management. The judge outlines his innovative sentence. Jasmine will serve as the executive director of the expanded youth center network. Her corporate finance skills will be used to manage the new funding, with oversight from a board of community leaders. Additionally, Judge Bennett continues, Morgan & Stanley has agreed to partner with the center, creating paid internships for program graduates. The corporate representative nods, acknowledging their commitment to support rather than punish. Jasmine stands, tears forming in her eyes as she realizes her dream of sustainable community impact is becoming reality. The judge's creative solution transforms a potential ending into a powerful beginning. The sentence includes requirements for transparent financial reporting, regular program impact assessments, and continued education support. But instead of punishment, these measures ensure program sustainability and growth. The gallery erupts in quiet applause as Judge Bennett concludes, this court believes in justice that uplifts communities. Ms. Davis, you'll serve your community, not through incarceration, but through expansion of your vision. 6 months later, the Oakwood Youth Center's transformation exceeds all expectations. The once struggling facility now anchors a network of 5 locations, each implementing Jasmine's proven programs and financial management systems. In the main building, Jasmine supervises a team of certified educators and financial professionals. The computer lab buzzes with coding classes, while the new culinary program teaches both cooking skills and small business management. Judge Bennett, now chairman of the advisory board, visits monthly. Today, he watches proudly as former students return as mentors. Marcus, once struggling with math, leads STEM workshops for elementary students. Sarah, a former dropout, runs the college preparation program. Morgan & Stanley's internship program flourishes, with 15 center graduates earning full-time positions. The company's community investment division, inspired by Jasmine's model, launches similar initiatives nationwide. The center's success attracts national attention. Education experts study its methods, while policymakers consider legislation to fund similar programs. Jasmine's financial transparency system becomes a model for nonprofit management. Local crime rates continue dropping. Test scores rise. College acceptance letters fill the center's bulletin board. The waiting list for new programs grows as families recognize the opportunity for positive change. The original $75,000 has been fully repaid, but its impact multiplied exponentially. Corporate donations, government grants, and private foundations provide stable funding. Jasmine's detailed tracking systems ensure every dollar serves its intended purpose. 1 year after her court appearance, Jasmine stands in the center's auditorium, watching graduates receive scholarships. Judge Bennett joins her, both knowing their unconventional decision created something extraordinary, a blueprint for turning moments of crisis into catalysts for lasting change.